It's a new year. It's 2024. First of all, Happy New Year and hi, my name is Bash Harry and this is the Harry Knit. We do a lot of knitting stuff, crochet stuff sometimes, and coming up soon, we also have a few more crafty things coming along. But for now, I want to say hi, Happy New Year. I hope your New Year's was amazing. My New Year's Eve was alright. We spent it with my fiance's family and we were supposed to go back home to watch Dubai Bling. Great show, by the way. Season 2 is amazing. Love good trash TV. But it was raining so heavily. There were like floods around the country. And the country's pretty small, so there were floods. So we actually got home at around 11:30 p.m. and that was not enough time. I think as soon as midnight struck, we just went to bed. He went home, he went to bed, I went to bed. It was a very subdued New Year's Eve, but honestly, I wouldn't have wanted it any other way. I hope your New Year's Eve was good too. And I made a video that I posted earlier about my everything I knitted in 2023, in parentheses, and 2022, because I didn't knit that much in 2023. I was in a really bad knitting slump and I just did not have time to make patterns or even knit up patterns for fun. So in this new year of 2024, I wanted to kind of sit down and really focus on finding joy again. It was like something I talked about in the newsletter. If you want to check it out, I'll leave a link down below. But it was something that I wanted to search for again, finding joy in things, especially my hobbies and what I personally enjoy, like knitting. So this video is all about my knitting goals for 2024. And if you have any knitting goals, please leave them in the comments down below. It'll be great to start a conversation and know what your plans are for this year. I made a video like this back in 2022. Did not make one last year because, like I said, wasn't making any videos. But I was watching it a little bit again just to kind of think about the projects or the plans that I had. And I was very optimistic. I was really, really optimistic about a lot of things that did not come to fruition, but I'm not gonna say that it was a bad thing. I think it was a pretty great thing to be optimistic, especially in 2022, and I'm not gonna like fault myself back in the day for that. I believed in what I said at the time, but now I think I just wanna like take a little step back and kind of revisit, have bigger goals and then have smaller goals in between, just so I have a lot more intentions when it comes to my knitting and my hobby, especially since this year I want to start releasing a lot more patterns. And we'll talk a little bit about that. I do want to release some patterns, like this one. This is the Rehat sweater. I wanted to make a sweater that was like sheer, so this uses Noroku rayon that you saw in my Japan haul. And this one is beautiful, it's amazing, but because it's worsted weight yarn, Awan worsted weight, but uses 10mm needles, it's very sheer. But yeah, it's size inclusive. We have 9 sizes to knit up, but I'm going on a tangent. I have my knitting goals here for 2024. I have my knit that I'm currently making. I am making a sweater vest, surprising, but this time with cables, and you can see that I've made some cables. This is like my third attempt to making a cable vest, because I had one that I was making last year. I didn't like the fit, I didn't like the color, and I knew I didn't have enough yarn, so I decided to scrap that project and try a new one. I'm using Sonomono alpaca wool that my sister got for me in Japan. And this yarn is a bulky weight yarn, and I thought I would have enough skeins because I have 10, which is a lot. 10 skeins of yarn is a lot of yarn, but each ball is only about 40 grams and 60 yards, or like 60 meters. So I'm going to be playing yarn chicken for a lot of this. This is the back piece, and I'm doing the increases now. I'm trying to draft a pattern for this, but I realized drafting patterns like this is a bit difficult, considering there's a lot of things going on with how we're doing the increases, because it's like a seed stitch. So it's like the make one left regular, and then the make one left purl, like that. So it's a bit confusing at first, but I'm going to figure out a way to kind of write it and make sure it's understandable. But I'm going on a huge tangent. Let's talk about our knitting goals for 2024. I have it here on my laptop as a list, and I think the first one that I want to do is to use up 2,024 grams of my yarn stash. I want to use up 2,024 grams specifically, and I think I have enough of that, so I'm going to take into account the projects that I have this year, or at least the yarn that I haven't bought at all this year, and I will use that as kind of a basis on how much I can, sorry I'm doing this in crease, how much I can spend on it basically, because I do have quite a bit of yarn, and even though I do want to purchase more yarn this year for some upcoming projects, I also know that I have plenty of yarn to go through, like this one. I think the plan is I will be using up 2,024 grams of my yarn stash. This isn't like a unique thing. I saw it on Instagram by a knitter's Instagram. I was just scrolling through. I can't remember the knitter's Instagram right now, but she made a post about it, and I thought that was so smart because I do want to use up my stash. I also want to reorganize my stash, and I thought, 2,024 grams would be really great start basis on using up my yarn stash. And I guess adjacent to that, another knitting goal that I have would be I want to reorganize my yarn. So 2 years ago, I had like a mini room like for my work and my studies, or my sister's studies, and my mini little yarn and office space. And we used it for a couple of months. I made some videos in it. But the issue with that is now it's turned into a surau, a prayer room, and all of my yarn is now upstairs, but I do have some in my room now. Unfortunately, that means that a lot of my yarn is everywhere, and I haven't really kept track of what yarns I have. So I think a main knitting goal for me this year that I'm hoping to finish by either this month or next month is to reorganize my yarn stash. Either take a shelf, buy a shelf and move it to this room, although I'm going to be completely honest, I don't think I have enough space. Or I am going to probably just like put all of my yarns outside. That's the thing, my cats are trying to always eat my yarn. I have to be very careful about that. But yeah, I think the main thing that I want to do, at least within the next 3 months, is to reorganize my yarn stash. And in addition to that, another goal is to actually update things digitally. When I say update digitally, I do mean like updating my Ravelry to make sure I know what yarns that I have and what projects I have in mind for that, but also maybe keep a Google Sheets on what projects that I want to do with the yarn as well. So that way I have 2 different databases for my yarn collection, because sometimes I don't look at my Ravelry stash, and I know I should, considering Ravelry is really great as a database to use for this kind of stuff, but I just don't use that feature so often, even though I know it's really helpful. But yeah, I think a main thing that I want to do is to manage my inventory and my yarn stash, especially because I know I have enough yarn to last me quite a long time. I just don't keep track of it, and I really need to. I need to know how much yarn I have for this project or that project, because sometimes I'm working on a project or I'm designing something, and then I realize I actually don't have as much yarn as I thought I would, and then I'm left playing yarn chicken, or I need to start the project all over looking for the sweater quantity or any quantity I need for that project. So that's important to me going forward, is to make sure I have like a digital database. And I may make a video on how I'm planning on doing it. I know Friday Knits did a video like it similar, and I'll probably use that as inspiration, but there's some things I would definitely change up. But yeah, I'm gonna keep that in mind when I decide to reorganize all my yarn. Another knitting goal that I have is to make 12 pieces. I'm not gonna say 12 like garments, because I think that's a little bit too much for 2024. Initially, and I remember this from my old knitting goals video of 2022, I wanted to make 22 garments. Pieces or garments, I don't know. But that was a lot of pieces. And I managed to do, I think, about 12 before I went on a really bad knitting slump. I think I was finishing up I want to say 3 projects a month, I'd say. And that's because I had a lot of time, With my job, I work as a media broadcaster. I'm a radio DJ, among other things. So I have a lot of free time on my hands, thankfully, and I'm really grateful to have a job that keeps me well paid, one thing, but also it gives me a lot of free time to work on my projects, because being a DJ, you're basically in the booth for 2-3 hours doing nothing, just making sure everything's on track, and maybe you talk every 15 minutes, but then that's it, really. So I have a lot of time to myself to knit and to make those pieces. But I think last year, or at least the year before, I was really getting tired of knitting every single day, even though it was a hobby that I enjoyed. So I don't think I'm going to be making 24 pieces this year, but I think 12 pieces is a good enough number. So that's 1 piece a month, not a year. So 12 pieces a month I think is really good. I have some projects in mind that would hit that 12 mark, and I'm really excited about that, but I'm also a little scared because the next goal that I have is to release patterns. 2022, I released the City Scrunchie, which is like a free scrunchie tutorial, and I also released the Awan vest. Last year, I released the Bandar Beanie in November, even though that pattern I had ready for I want to say since June of 2022. I started writing that pattern and I didn't release it until think the year later, because like I said, I was really busy with my old job and I just didn't have time to write or have the brain power or the capacity to actually do that. So this year I want to release a lot more patterns, especially patterns that are inspired by my Malay heritage, inspired by my culture, and directly influenced by it. So what I've been doing is that I've been using Malay words and things associated with our culture to release the patterns. So for example, the scrunchie, Siti, is a common middle name for girls. It's also my mom's, it's my grandmother's, it's my middle name. Technically it's my first name. Surprise, it's not Bash, but I named it after because a lot of Malay women are named Siti. The Awan vest means cloud in Bahasa Melayu. Bandar is the capital city of my country. Rehat means to rest in my language. So I want to incorporate that. But I also want to incorporate batik and tununan. Those are common fabrics or designs that you'll see in our traditional clothing. And I've seen a lot of people doing Scandi designs, Norwegian designs on their sweaters, and I understand why. It's so common there. But I can't help but to think it would look so beautiful on batik. If we have a sweater that looks like batik, or tununan, having a balaclava that has, our floral elements, or even charts with our animals, I think that's really cool, and I really want to start making a lot more pieces inspired by my country and our way of life. I don't know how many I plan on releasing. I do have some semblance of a plan. Whether that's a good plan, I'll let you guys figure that out. But I am excited, and I'm excited to kind of see what I have in store for 2024, especially since we have the test calls now. Gonna be doing that on my newsletter, all social media, so just check me out on Instagram if you want to keep updated with that as well. We also have just some general chats there, and that's really fun. I think another goal that I have is to be more intentional with my pieces. And I say that every single year. I say it all the time that I want to be more intentional with my makes. And I do want to be more intentional with my makes. because when I was making the video about everything that I knitted in 2023 and 2022, I realized that there were some pieces that I absolutely adored and that I love that I could not wear out because I'm not somebody who likes to wear tank tops out, so I just lounge at home in them, or they're just not my type of outfit. So for example, the Daphne blouse by Friday Knits is so beautiful. I love it so much. But I can't wear that without wearing an undershirt because you could see my bra straps and you could see my back because it's kind of backless. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. I loved knitting it, but I don't wear that kind of outfit often. So I need to find sort of like a basis for me to be able to make this stuff that I know I can wear out and to be mindful of the weather. That's why I made the rehat sweater, because yes, it's wool, but because it's sheer, it's not too hot and I can still wear it out and not sweat my ass off. That being said, I know that I can't stop making sweaters or vests. Like, this is made from wool and alpaca, but it is to be more intentional with my makes and to make things that I know I can wear in Brunei on everyday wear. Like something like this I definitely wear when I'm visiting a colder climate, which is the plan this year, especially for my honeymoon. Fingers crossed, knock on wood. I really hope I get to go to a cold climate for my honeymoon. But yeah, I think that's the general plan, to be intentional with my makes and to be more weather appropriate. I need to get my cable. Give me a second. I'm back. Also, this is what the rehat sweater looks like. I love wearing yellows and purples together. I love wearing yellow and blue. I wear a lot of yellow in my daily life. I don't think it's my favorite color, but it brings me a lot of joy. And I really love wearing pieces that brings me joy. Another thing that I want to do this year as my knitting goal 2024, I think I want to start releasing, not necessarily a book, but a journal. I have this inkling that it would be really cool to make a maker's journal or a knitter's journal notebook, because I have one of my own, but I also realize it's a bit difficult for me to keep online or in a book that I just designed myself, because I bullet journal. I love bullet journaling. It helps me so much. I've been doing it for 4 years. So I'd really love to make a knitter or crafter's version of that, because I think it'd also be helpful. It'll help a lot of people out, especially when they're making their pieces. That is definitely gonna be an end of year project, because I don't think I have the brain power to do it right now, but it's definitely something in my brain that I really, really want to do. We'll see though, we'll see how that goes. I think if I have to choose between focusing on my journal or patterns, I'd probably be more focused on patterns this year, just because I really want to get a really stable base of patterns before I focus on anything else. I do want to focus a lot more on the hairy knit, and I'm speaking it out into this world in this video, I guess, because I do value knitting and I want to be able to share it not just with you, but with people in Brunei who think knitting is a grandma hobby. I also have, I think, like two more goals that I have here that I'm going to share out before I go on another tangent. Another goal that I have is, and this was another goal that I had for my previous knitting goals video in 2022. I do want to hand dye yarn. I do. I want to learn how to do it. I don't know when. I'm hoping mid this year I can finally figure out how to hand dye yarn. I don't think I would go for wool though. I know wool is a very popular choice for people, and for good reason. But I think for me, I would really love to learn how to dye cotton, linen, bamboo blends, viscose, because they work really well with this kind of climate that we have. So I think that is my plan this year. I'll keep you updated to see how it goes, but I think that is what I want to do. And another thing that I want to do that was also in my other previous knitting goals video is I want to organize a knitting workshop. I've said it before, I really want to teach a class on how to knit, because I think there's so much potential for knitting as a hobby. crochet has gotten really popular amongst young people here. Young people here, I am young, which is what I tell people all the time. But I think knitting is such a great hobby for everyone to pick up at least once in their life. I think if you're able to learn how to knit, you get to make clothes, you get to make really cool things, you get to meet new people, and I'd really love to host a knitting workshop. And I'd also love to host like a knitting club. I don't know if that's ever gonna happen though. I know some people get really nervous doing a stitch and bitch club, but I think that would be really fun. And it wouldn't just be for knitting, it could be also for crochet too, because I really want to have a community of crafters here. And I know my mom is involved in some because she works a lot with people who are crafters. And I also really want to get involved with the knitters here in Brunei. I know there are a few, not a lot, there are a few. And I'd really like to get that going. I think that would be super, super fun. Also, just very minor tangent because my battery's running out. It's always running out. I would like to start weaving. I have weaving stuff. I have that my friend Ruby got me when she was visiting Brunei from the UK. It is like a weaving loom, and I got it and I still have not used it. I would like to. So there will be a video about it because I cannot help but to make videos about everything that I have. But yeah, I think that is the plan. Let me know what your knitting goals are. I think it'd be really fun to share and understand a little bit more about what we have, what to be mindful of, and how we can be a lot more intentional with our makes, especially going into the new year. A lot of people are entering their no buy January, which I need to do. Maybe I'll do a no buy February. I think that's a bit more my league because I'm going to KL this month for wedding planning stuff. So obviously now I just need that money to spend there because weddings are expensive. My goodness. I'm going on a tangent. I'm sorry. I always go on tangents and I just start talking because it's so rare that we ever get to like just sit and chill. But this panel is almost done. It's not almost done. We're doing the increases and there's a lot of increases to do. But I want to thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please do like, comment, and subscribe. Please let me know if there's other videos you'd like to see this year, and let me know as well what your knitting goals are. It'd be nice to have a conversation in the comments. But other than that, my name is Bash Harry. This is the Harry Knit. I hope you guys have a great day. Bye!